with Tridents Against Tyrants. And we are here today with Jana from Project Konstantin. Now, hold on one sec. Let's just make sure. Hold on one sec, because I need to double check. If anyone can hear me, please give me a plus in chat. There it goes. It's just because of the delay. Okay, well, welcome everybody. If you did hear me that entire time I was fumbling at the beginning, welcome to Tridents Against Tyrants. And today I'm here with Jana from Project Konstantin. Feel free to say hi, Jana.
Hi, guys.
All right. And yeah, for anyone unfamiliar, well, Jana, yeah, you've obviously appeared on multiple other channels, and you've been here, I believe, on one of the Saturday streams. So not first time, but yeah. Today we really want to make this special stream this Friday focus on Project Konstantin, what they do, their mission statement, and ways that you can help support the important work that they do, assisting heroes at the front lines in Ukraine. So yeah. With that, for anyone who might be unfamiliar, do you want to tell us a little bit about Project Konstantin, Jana?
Yeah, so we do casualty evacuations of Ukrainian soldiers on the front line. We are embedded with a brigade. I am allowed to say, finally, because when we started, we didn't say which brigade. But now we're allowed to say we're with the 67th Brigade, and they're huge, but we're with the 67th Brigade. And yeah, so we help them with casualty evacuations and then also supply the supplies that they need when they don't get what they need. A lot of the stuff, and I know Peter's spoken about this in the past as well, a lot of the times they use their salaries and everything, but oftentimes it's not enough to get the supplies. So we fundraise for that, and then we also use our connections that we have in the rest of the world to get them stuff. So we, for example, reached out to the sniffing brigade to get them the 67, to get them the ambulance that Mercado fundraised for, and yeah, we also fundraise for IFACs and for generators and backup batteries and night visions and scopes and all of that. So that is what we do. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. And I guess maybe on a more personal note, what first got you involved with Project Konstantin and really just assistance to Ukraine in general?
I was actually learning Russian for fun because I enjoy languages. And then the full-scale invasion started, and I was like, okay, cool. This is not going to cut. So I decided I wanted to help, but I also teach online. So I decided I wanted to help the Ukrainian the same way that I earn money. So I didn't want to just donate to an organization at the time that I only knew about was like the Red Cross or whatever, like a big organization, because I know that money is not going to end up I knew that money wasn't going to end up in Ukraine. So I started learning Ukrainian from a Ukrainian lady in Odessa. And, once you have that personal connection, you kind of get really invested in everything. But I also felt like there's this quote by Desmond Tutu, where he said, if you're neutral in situations of or in situations of oppression, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. So for me, that was a big thing, and I got involved on Twitter with the kept up to date there. Got involved with the pro-Ukrainian community there and everything, and it was last year, so I was already involved with it for almost a year. And then last year, May, I came across a video of Pete on Twitter where he was speaking, and a bunch of us South Africans had a Twitter group. And someone was just like, no, but this is our accent, you know? And we were joking like, yeah, but where's the braai, which is South African for barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm African Aussie. So we were asking like, where's the braai in the background? You know, why isn't he eating biltong and droewors? Why isn't he wearing a Springbok shirt? Kind of thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I reached out and I actually donated €5, and I said donated money. Reached out to Pete and I said, if you guys need any help with social media, that is my other profession. I'm here to help. And he was like, cool, we need someone. Join the club. You know? Because at the time they had Helena, but she works so many different jobs. So that's how I got involved with it. And from there, we just started growing our presence and got more involved with them and everything. Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. I had actually never known the story of how you and Pete first met or got in contact. So yeah, that was really cool. That was educational for me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And kind of
It's weird. It's like everyone
Mm-hmm.
has this weird way how we got involved. It's like through this person or through this person. Me, it was like donated $5. And Pete recognized the name and surname, and he's like, no, but this is an Afrikaans, South African name and surname.
Mm-hmm.
And he emailed me, and I was like, yeah, I am South African. And we were emailing back and forth, and he was like, okay, so I'm sending him my number. I'm like, if you ever want to chat, you know, if you ever miss speaking Afrikaans, here's my number. So he added me on WhatsApp, and then he was like, I'm going to video call you. And he was on the front, like in the bunker with Ukrainian soldiers and everything. And he video called me. And there are like bombs going off around him and stuff. And we're just like having a chat, you know, a video call. And the guys around him actually stopped talking and asked him, like, what language are you speaking? And he's like, no, it's my language, like my country's language is Afrikaans. And you could hear they stopped speaking to listen to, like, what is this language? So it was kind of cool because he was like, you know, he just missed South Africa, and he was like, no, just missed hearing the language and everything. So yeah. That's how we started.
You know, it's so. And speaking of Afrikaans, there hasn't been an opportunity to do so yet. I don't think, just because everyone's so busy. Have you ever heard of or met Frankie and Cohen from who used to appear and, you know, are pretty good friends with Rick?
No.
So they are both from the Netherlands, so they are Dutch, which obviously not the same as Afrikaans.
Oh, we'd be able to understand each other.
But yeah, mutually intelligible, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, just kind of.
I mean, there's about like a 95 Afrikaans and Dutch share and 95% lexical similarity. But there are some really interesting, really interesting words that, like, the word means one thing in Dutch and something else in Afrikaans. And I don't remember what the specific word was, but it means something positive in Dutch and something bad in Afrikaans.
Oh, really?
Another example that I just thought of is the word is like really, really bad in Afrikaans, okay? But it's the Dutch word for cat, which is poes, okay? But in Afrikaans, it is like one of the worst swear words, okay? So people in the Netherlands... Yeah, so like, it's one of the worst swear words. Like, it's like British people how British people like will swear like crazy, but they won't say, I'm sorry, can I swear on your stream?
Oh, yeah, you're good. You're good. I
Okay.
mean, I
But
don't
it's
care.
like it's how British people will swear like crazy, but they won't even spell out the word cunt, you know? It's kind of like
Yes. No,
that for Afrikaans people.
I was about to,
Yeah.
yeah, I was about to say it sounds like the C word. It sounds because every
Yeah.
Aussie I've ever spoken to who swears like a sailor, that's the go-to word, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is like that.
Yeah.
And for Afrikaans people, you're like, that word we don't say. But
Yep.
in the Netherlands, they walk around and they're like, oh yeah, I have a puss and you have a puss and this is my puss's name. And as an Afrikaans person, you're just like, what the hell? Like there's even a Dutch song about a kid singing about their family cat
The
being
cat.
missing. You know,
Yeah.
and it's just
It,
like our cat is gone in Afrikaans. You're like, why are you doing this?
you know,
So there are
it's
some
yeah.
really weird changes in the language, and if you're not aware of them, they're just like, what are these people doing?
You know, it's so interesting. I was actually we'll get over to the news and more about Project Konstantin in one sec, everybody. This is just a fun conversation, but it's so funny you bring this up because I was talking with someone about a week or two ago, a friend of mine who is South African,
Mhm.
and we were discussing all of these little linguistic quirks introduced into the region from various languages, but especially from
Mm.
English, Afrikaans, and a little bit from Arabic, because
Mm.
there are just certain words that exist in South Africa that if you talk to people from other parts of the world, they'll say, "Oh, that's fine. We use that word all the time." But
Yeah.
and there are some words that are just normal, that are everyday words in South Africa that are not offensive at all. I won't give any of the examples because then I think I might inflame things. But anyone who knows that there are some words considered archaic in American English that are still in use in South African English, or there's a certain Arabic word that starts with a K that if you speak to an Arabic speaker, they'll say, that's just a normal word. We use that.
Yep.
But you say that in South Africa, it's a fighting word. People
But you
are
know with how that actually happened, right?
from Arabic
Um,
explorers going across
yeah,
the coast.
and
Yeah.
they were speaking to when the Portuguese um, traders got in touch with him. They were like, no, but everyone on this continent is
Well,
this word.
they're non-believers because that's what it
Yeah,
comes from. In Arabic, it
and
means non-believer.
non-believer. And the Portuguese didn't know what it meant. And they just saw all the people here and they were like, but they all look a
None of
certain
them
way.
believe
So
in
that
Allah.
must,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
None of
they
them are
just
Muslims, though.
assumed that's what the people were called. And
And it just from there it just spread. It just yeah,
it
it
just spread.
completely the meaning completely morphed from there. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
All right. So all right. I guess going into Project Konstantin a bit. Then what I'll do right now is let's see. Ah. All right, everybody. I'm going to share my screen after I pull it up. Hold on. And we're gonna go over a quick video right quick. First, I'm going to showcase to you all the Project Konstantin YouTube channel for everybody to be familiar with it. And this was announced a little last minute, so I believe we have some mods here. Yeah, mods. Enhill or anyone else who might be here right now. Don't know if Anna is. If you could put a link in the chat, I'd appreciate it. And Project Konstantin YouTube. All right, I'm going to share my screen. One sec. No. There we go. And yeah, it's not blocking too much. I'll do it like this so it's a little more zoomed in. So this is Project Konstantin's YouTube channel, everybody, and I gotta say, you guys were like at 300 subscribers a week or so ago, and then
Yeah,
we made the shout outs on the shills, and I believe I had also made a brief one on my channel and a few others,
yeah.
and yeah, you guys are getting close to 1,000 now, and that makes me very happy because you guys deserve it. Um, so um, we've got a video that we're going to showcase, but anyone, if you're not already subscribed, they are building their YouTube channel now. They have multiple other social media. Um, they've got a website that's back up and running, Buy Me a Coffee, Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook. So if you're on any of these platforms that you see on the screen right now, even if you're not, even if you just email, you can find their email address here as well for contacting them. It's publicly available. I'm not going to click it just because I know it's going to ask me to do the reCAPTCHA,
Hmm.
click on fire hydrants. And I'll be sitting here getting that figured out. Um, but yeah, for anyone interested in doing so, there's also a donor box for general donations. So go check out all their social media, whichever ones you use, everybody. And we're going to put a brief video on, just an example of some of the content that they've been putting up. This should be a thank you video that was put together by Pete and the rest of the Project Konstantin team. So let me switch over to it. And I guess before I press play, you want to tell us a little bit about who this thank you video was directed toward, and
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's directed towards Exen, or Mateusz is his actual name. He's a Polish guy. He's donated over 200 vehicles to ZSU and us. Like, we got one.
Mm-hmm.
But he fundraises in Poland for these cars, and he restores them. By the time we get them, they are already fully restored, already the right color, everything. And the nice thing is they're proper quality. Like, he checks them, makes sure they are ready, so it's not bad quality ones that we're getting. Um, and yeah, so we got this one. It's oftentimes for us, it's like our most reliable car that we've got. Um, and yeah, it just really, it's awesome. So we had this thank you video made. We've made so many for him because
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, we've made several to him, and we just keep thanking him.
I
every
can.
time car,
Mm-hmm.
every time his car helps us or whatever, we're just like, thank you, because we know that's also how he keeps on getting donations, so that he can help ZSU more. So it's kind of like this mutual agreement. Um,
Yep. It's a beautiful circle of giving and assistance.
exactly. And the funny thing with this video is we made it, or Pete and the guys made it, and literally the next day, the military came to Pete, like, because we asked for two vehicles here, and the next day Pete is like, like he tells Halina and myself, we're like, yeah, so had a meeting with command, and they now need 4 vehicles. So it's like, we had this one, and they were like, yeah, we actually need 4. We told you 2 yesterday. We need 4 now. So it's that kind of thing, yeah. But this is like one of my
Gotcha.
favorite ones, super creative, and I'm like, I never want to see a boring thank you video ever again. So
All
yeah.
right. Well, then with that, we'll go ahead and press play.
Greetings, dearest friends of Ukraine, especially to Mateusz, the hero from Poland, Mateusz and Exen. Thank you for delivering us this beautiful vehicle months ago. It's rescued many soldiers. We're on our way to rescue more. We're desperately wanting to say thank you for your help. If anybody in the world wants to help like Mateusz has helped Ukraine, please, we are desperate for 2 more 4-wheel drives of similar caliber to this. One 4-wheel drive especially, and another VW style van, medical evacuation vehicles. God bless you. Slava Ukraini!
All right, and let me fix this. Okay, so yeah, I like the way that the thank you video is set up like a small Uber skit. That's kind of fun. I've actually noticed that, and I appreciate that. Like, for anyone who watches Starsky's content regularly, you'll know that man makes some pretty nice content. You know, it's a good combination of serious and just enough humor that people can laugh for a moment during all of what's happening during this this horrible conflict. I think that's important. So, all right. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Beyond that, one more thing I'd like to showcase. So that's an example of one of the videos on their channel, everybody. Gonna share this in the chat right now for anyone who would like a general link aside from their YouTube channel to find everything Project Konstantin related. Here is their website. Here's what it looks like. Brand new, revamped and relaunched. I want to say a few weeks or maybe I think a little less than a month ago, right?
A little less than a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, a little less than a month. So absolutely go check it out. This is very important stuff, everybody. And Pete, Jana, all of Project Konstantin, their entire team has my respect. So with that, we've got a little bit of news that we can cover in general about Ukraine. We'll get to that in a moment. Do you have anything else that you, any particular campaigns or anything Project Konstantin related that you'd like to share with everybody, Jana?
Please keep donating. I guess it feels so weird. It feels so weird because one of the things is like, it's that weird thing where like we asked for money yesterday, now we're asking for money again. So it starts feeling weird because when you're, and I had to kind of train myself to be like, no, but I'm not asking it for myself. I'm actually asking to help people and to keep the guys alive, because you're kind of taught like, don't ask too much, don't be too much like this, don't be too much like this, and instead you're kind of like, but we need the money, we need to keep this going, so that's why I'm like, yeah.
Absolutely. I've said
it's
before.
It's a weird mind shift to make, that one from being polite to being kind of like persistent in asking for money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
and it's incredibly important. It's really important to find where the money is best being used and how it can be amplified in multiple different arenas of use, because I've said this before and I'll continue saying it. There are two very different, but in my opinion, equally important fields where donations go to. One is what we do, what many of our channels do, which is direct financial assistance to the Ukrainian military and volunteer efforts that are helping at the front lines. And of course, also humanitarian aid in general in Ukraine. That's also, it's all important, but especially at the front lines. And then the other side of it is organizations who are, in the most effective ways, finding means of putting political pressure on various governments, especially Western governments, to unlock more aid for Ukraine. Because you have to have both. We have to have the grassroots efforts, because if no one else is going to do it, then someone has to, and it looks like it'll be us. but at the same time, getting those billions and billions of US dollars and euros, actually delivered. Uh, yeah, both of those in tandem. Yeah, both of them done well. Ukraine's going to come out of this on top. And
Yeah,
Ukraine will come out of this on top.
yeah. So yeah, it's a difficult thing. I mean, we just because of the way our organization is set up and our charity status is set up, there's like a certain threshold that we have to kind of like donate to the military,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So when it comes to the expenses that we can use on ourselves, it's kind of limited, you know. So it's like we got this money, but X amount of it has to go back into the military, you know.
Right.
And you kind of have to stick to that. So it gets to that point where you're like, cool, we need to get more money in so that we can actually meet our vehicle repair fund. I mean,
Yeah.
last week we had to pay the mechanic £2,000 because we had to fix the cars because we're getting ready to go back to the front, you know. And that's thankfully thanks to everyone who's been donating, we were able to pay that money, but it is still like that's still £2,000, you know.
Yeah. Oh, hold on one sec. Before we continue, people are saying that there's some ambient noise or like water flowing or radio waves or something. I don't know from which audio source. So I'm going to do two things real fast. I'm going to mute myself and then I'm going to mute you and
Got
see
it.
if we can find where it's coming from. One sec. Okay, so first I'll mute myself. All right, now I'm going to mute your end. One sec. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. I think, do you have some either radio frequency or some running water or something nearby that might be getting picked up by your microphone?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, wait. Are you on a laptop?
Yeah.
I think it might be your computer's fan.
Mine?
Possibly. But I can isolate the source. I think it's coming from your end, but I don't know what the sound is. But I mean, it's very minor. Like I barely notice it.
Okay.
So we're all good. Because I'm not going to ask you to start moving stuff around in the middle of the stream. And
Sorry.
unfortunately, and we're using today some software that's good, but I don't think it gives me perfect. Actually, let me check. Maybe I do have some audio control for all the people visiting. Hold on.
Yeah, because I've got noise cancellation and noise suppression on my side.
Okay. That's weird that it would
Yeah.
if you've got both of those turned on, I would think that Restream would like do a decent job of canceling that, but I guess it's not picking it up. Yeah, like Dick says. Hey, and thanks for joining us, Dick. Probably not worth it to worry about right now. We're good. All right. So, all right. I guess we'll cover a little bit of news then. So we've got a bit of news from Washington D.C. We've got a bit of news from South Asia. Oh, while you're here, off the top of your head, can you think of anything political or non-political, just any news whatsoever from South Africa that you think directly pertains to Ukraine? Like, I know that there was the election happening here recently, and yeah, the most pro-Ukraine. For anyone unaware, the more pro-Ukraine political party in South Africa, DA, is currently the second largest party in the country, but it's a pretty distant second in terms of total
it's a
number.
pretty.
So yeah, is there any updates on that front that you have for
Yeah,
us, Jana?
yeah. Yes, Leslie, I saw Greg's message. Thank you. Yeah, so the Ukrainian Association actually has, here in South Africa, actually has a lot of events planned this coming week. And I'm super annoyed because the only one close to me is on Friday, and I'm busy on Friday, so I'm so annoyed.
Mm.
But they have this really cool one that's about it's an online one, so I mean, you guys can even join. It's lessons from the Ukraine war and African government's role in resolving the conflict. So it's very interesting. They're working together with let me get this, with the Institute for Security Studies, the Desmond and Leah Tutu Foundation. What is this? I can't make out what that one is, and I can't make out what the other one is. But yeah, I mean, it's really, there are some really amazing speakers that are going to be there. For anyone who is in Cape Town, and like any South Africans in the chat who are in Cape Town and Stellenbosch, there is one that's based on the on security architecture, or regional security architecture, nuclear safety, and children's rights. And they're going to have some, like, once again, they had some of these people flown in from Ukraine. And the one guy is, he serves on the, let me get this. He's a member of the Public Council at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine. So they really went out to get really good speakers. And it's kind of annoying because I know what the South African news landscape is like, and it's probably going to be swept under the rug. So it's really annoying. We've got all these cool people, and we've got the media landscape that's being like, yeah, but people aren't interested in that. And I'm like, no, but they are. Polls have been done. Like 75% of South Africans support Ukraine, but it's not being reported on. I've got friends asking me, is the war over? And I'm like,
really?
Do you want to be slapped? Do you want to be slapped?
That number actually surprises me. I would have thought maybe between 40 to 50%, but 75%, that's actually,
it's high. Or that's
very high.
Let me get this.
Oh, and if you have a link, I'll
let me get it.
Put it in. Yeah. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah.
Let me get the exact one. It's 74.3% of
that's significant.
Of all South Africans, and 74% of ANC voters.
Really? That high among ANC voters? Wow.
That high amongst ANC voters.
Okay. Wow. That's very good. That's actually very promising to hear. Yeah. So it sounds like it's just the messaging. It's just the media landscape.
It's just the messaging,
Yeah, the word has to get out, and you've got certain, I think you've got certain media monopolies that make that.
I've sent it to you on Discord.
Perfect. Thank you.
It's crazy. It's crazy. And I mean, if you look at it, there's a whole thing of disinformation in South Africa. And if you look at who controls the media, a lot of your free access media is owned by one guy who is really close friends and is part of the ANC. And the ANC's previous election campaign was sponsored by Prigozhin. So it's really like this with Russia. The ANC and Russia, it's really like this.
Well, and it doesn't surprise me too much, because when you think about it, controversially, both Russia and South Africa have been part of BRICS in the past. So those kinds of economic business ties, honestly, Russia just kind of gets, if there's one thing that Russian business is good at, it's embedding itself and involving itself in foreign nations' politics. And that's true from South Africa to the United States or Canada, or, across multiple continents, multiple countries. They're very good at spinning a tale. And
exactly.
Okay, well, thank you very much for sharing that, because I'm definitely going to take a look at that myself later as well. I guess for now, then, and that is in the chat for anyone who wants to go take a look at that article, specifically about South African support and to Ukraine and condemnation of Russia.
Oh,
Or,
but I do have to tell you this really funny thing that happened when the South African delegation went to Ukraine for the peace talks, like with all the other African leaders.
mm-hmm,
They had our plane was stopped in Poland, if I'm correct, and they weren't told why, and it came out that there were people on board who weren't cleared, and there
mm-hmm.
were things on board that weren't cleared. But the way it was told in the media was, it's racist. It's because it's South Africa that it was blocked, and we're like, yeah, but all the other countries, all the other African countries were able to fly through without issues. You know?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's that constant propaganda, and you're like, no, but guys, all the other African countries could go through easily. It's just us that got blocked. Are you serious? So
Yeah,
it's really funny. And someone just pointed out, like, look, you can't play the victim mentality in Eastern Europe. It's not gonna fly there.
right, exactly,
You can't play the
exactly.
victim card there. But it was an interesting time.
Mm.
You even had some of the journalists trying to tweet about it, like on the plane, trying to tweet about it and say this is what's, like, trying to twist the narrative, and then people like South Africans came at them and said, "No, but you're talking crap right now," So
Yeah. Oh, and actually, okay, well, you're not going to see them here on screen because Restream doesn't actually, to the best of my knowledge, does not have a way for me to access the questions part of YouTube Studio. But I've got a few questions here. I'll highlight them in the chat for everybody. And here's one for you, Jana. Oh, wait. Okay. This is one that is a joke from our good friend Dick. And
yeah.
he asks, Jana, does Jana have to read Pete bedtime stories? And if so, what is his favorite?
I don't know. That's Halina's job, actually. She's in
Okay.
charge of the bedtime stories. Yeah,
Well, she unfortunately couldn't join us today, but we'll have to keep that one in
yeah,
mind
yeah.
for
No,
when we've
she's
got
in charge
Halimi.
of bedtime stories.
All right. Next, we've got. Oh, we've got one from Greg Terry, and his question is, Jana, since Dickie Dawson is in here, may I purchase the iPhone that is now in my hand for Pete?
Yes, please. That would be awesome. Wait, but it's already in your hand. Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah, I remember that being talked about last time on the
Oh, it's
shows.
awesome.
It
Yeah,
is.
it's awesome.
Thank.
And
Mhm.
the guy who always helps with our video editing, he's just like, I'm not gonna have a job anymore. I'm gonna have free time. I'm like, you haven't forgotten how shaky, like, we haven't forgotten about body cam footage. And he's like, I'm not here anymore. I don't exist anymore. I'm running away because body cam footage is the worst.
Absolutely, I can only
Yeah.
imagine. And okay, next, last question I've got in the official YouTube question section is from Aussie T. Why is I actually remember this being asked before, but it'll be good to cover it again. From a previous stream, I mean. Why is your group called Project Konstantin?
Oh, um, it's actually because actually we cover it on our website. Let me get this here.
Yeah.
It's a friend of Pete. He was friends with Pete. They were in a unit together in the territorial defense. And they were stationed near Kiev. And his name was Konstantin. But then he left the group when the Russians captured Kherson to go and fight and free his mom and sister, who were living under occupation. And he was fighting back, and then he got basically, as far as I remember, ambushed in a trench and passed away. And we decided to, or Pete and them decided to name the project after him, and the organization after him. And it was actually going to be like, they had the plan of actually having it as like, this mission is called Project Konstantin. They will choose someone else to name the next mission after. The next mission will be someone else. But when it was Project Konstantin, the name just stuck. And Kostya's dad is actually like part of our basic support group. Like, he always supports us on Twitter. He always he likes our tweets. He like retweets us, everything. So it's really, it's sad, but it's a way, I think, for the team to keep him close.
It's a good way to honor his memory.
Yeah.
And that is important. I mean, and I understand, because there's been a lot of people who have been unfortunately lost in this war.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, every single one of them are important, and I like to think that it's named after someone who I would consider a hero, who was there, assisting in Ukraine. And you honor one hero, you honor all heroes. So yeah, thank you to you guys for doing that. So I think that's it for questions that I see here right now, unless there's some in the, oh, shoot. No, I don't want to end the Q&A. Let me go back to regular live chat. Let me just double check, see if there's any more questions I can see here immediately before we keep going. If there are, they got buried. So we'll move on for right now. All right. And so first piece of news that I've got here, I'll go ahead and share my screen so everyone can see it. And as usual, I will put the link in the description, or I'm sorry, I'll put it in the chat and the description. All right, hold on one sec.
But I just want to say, if you guys want to read the full story on Konstantin, it's on our website, on the About section. Right at the bottom, we've got a section dedicated to Tanya and to Kostya. So that's on the website. You can have a look at that there. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, and now that's in the description too. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And yeah, we'll go over this. Probably not, let me see how long it is. Actually, it might be a short enough article to go through the more or less the whole thing. But yeah, we're just going to cover this real fast, and then we can maybe have a quick discussion about it. So, I got too many things on screen. I'm going to close the chat overlay for a sec. Well, actually, no, I'll leave it open. No, because then everyone can read it a little bit more easily. So let me zoom in on this. So this is from Politico. Biden's speech, and this should have been yesterday during the United States State of the Union address. Biden's speech thrills Ukraine watchers, others not so much. History is watching, President Joe Biden declared during his State of the Union address. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. Nahal Tusi is... Well, thank you to Nahal Tusi, Senior Foreign Affairs Correspondent, for writing about this. Much appreciated. In the days before President Joe Biden delivered his State of the Union address, a handful of international diplomats and American foreign policy players shared with me their fantasy lists of what would be in it. A permanent ceasefire in Gaza, a tough lecture to Congress on Ukraine military aid, a call for full sanctions on all Russian banks, praise for the controversial new president of Argentina. For anyone unfamiliar, there have been closer ties between Ukraine and Argentina since Milei took power. Well, one of those dreams came true. To the joy of many worried about Washington's commitment to Ukraine and Europe more broadly, Biden launched the address Thursday by talking about the Kremlin's war on Kiev. He slammed Russian leader Vladimir Putin and urged Congress to end its logjam and approve more military aid for Ukraine. He praised NATO, welcomed its newest members, welcome Finland and Sweden, and blasted predecessor and 2024 rival Donald Trump, though not by name, for his overtures to Putin. History is watching, Biden declared. We will not bow down. I will not bow down. Front and center, one European diplomat texted me in delighted response. Very strong on Ukraine, another foreign diplomat wrote. I'm assuming this is to the author of this particular journalistic piece. So, yeah, I guess let's unravel that we've read so far. This is good news. It's good to see more positive speeches and rhetoric in support of Ukraine. Now, personally, I have always said that actions speak louder than words. So what would make me extremely happy is seeing the, how much is it? I think it's 4 or 5 billion of funds of aid that would be available to send right now immediately from the current administration. The words are nice, but whatever political fallout there's fear of occurring from greenlighting and getting that aid sent, I think it's been made pretty clear by those in opposition who are more the Donald Trumps and Mike Johnsons of this political generation that they're not going to really release aid to Ukraine very easily in U.S. Congress. So I don't know. I think that a strong message beyond just words needs to be sent through actions that get Ukraine a bit of what it needs right now. Because that's what we're seeing from Europe. We are seeing some European countries stepping up and trying to fill with a couple 100 million or 1 or 2 or 5 billion euros here and there. The UK and now France are both appearing to ramp up a little bit more slowly. UK has been for quite a while assisting. So what are your thoughts on this, Jana? Do you think that this has legs to really get significant support to Ukraine unlocked, or do you think this is just kind of rhetoric at the moment to help morale?
I think it's like this is the first State of the Nation speech I am ever following by a US president. So I need to give that as a disclaimer. Okay. So that's my disclaimer. But it also feels like, I've been kind of surprised by US politics because I'm like, how much power does Biden have? Because right now it seems like Mike Johnson is the one with more power. So it's for me it's kind of weird, I'm like, I don't really get this part. So maybe from my ignorance, from the perspective of my ignorance, it looks a bit more like nice words. Because I'm like, he's had this aid and he's not doing anything with it.
Yeah, precisely.
And people say like, yeah, but he's keeping it in case this frozen conflict or this possible conflict unfolds and this possible conflict unfolds. And I'm like, yeah, but we kind of know who the instigators of that conflict would be, and who would start that conflict. Oh, dog.
Yeah, exactly.
We're kind of like that. Those instigators are supporting Russia, or they are Russian, So maybe just precisely. Defeat Russia. Sorry, my dog is. My dog has decided she wants to play right now. So.
That's all good. My dog is very similar, except instead of noise, they'll just come up to me and start scratching at me until I start petting them, like aggressively scratching.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah. So
all right, so
maybe but that's
mhm.
from my perspective. Like I said, I don't really understand the US political system because I just find it really
Yeah.
confusing. I just find the two-party system really confusing. Um,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
I don't understand it. I'm like, why? So,
Yeah, I mean it does come with its
yeah.
drawbacks. I mean one positive is that you end up with a balance, I guess you could say, where there's not a major threat of a single party dominating so intensely that you just end up with one party in power for like decades and decades. Because that's more common than people really realize across the world. But like even in countries that are considered allies of the U.S. that are a bit more democratic. But yeah, the drawback is with political dysfunction like this. I'm a bigger fan of the New
Mhm.
Zealand system because I find theirs to be one that's more inclusive of all of society's opinions on matters rather than just a select few with sufficient funds to
Yeah.
influence societal opinion. But anyway, that's digressing a little bit. So we'll read a little bit more of this, and then I've got a few more news pieces because we're already at 51 minutes in to this. Time can
And you
time
were
can
like,
fly.
I don't think we have enough content for an hour stream.
Yeah, well, for 2 hours, but
2
yeah,
hours, yeah.
exactly. All right, so excuse me. All right. Biden's decision to tackle Ukraine headfirst is likely to lead to sighs of relief in capitals across Europe, where many of America's closest allies have been questioning its commitment to helping Kiev as far-right Republicans increasingly dominate the conversation on Capitol Hill, and Moscow makes gains on the battlefield. That Biden cited Franklin Roosevelt and World War II spoke to the gravity of the moment many in Europe feel. That he immediately swiped at Trump will also throw plenty of European officials who privately loathe the former president. Ukraine was in many ways an ideal starter topic for the Biden team. They see the war as a clear-cut case of good versus evil, as well as a global rallying cry for democracy. It's also a way to highlight Republican intransigence in Congress, not to mention knock down a rival for the White House. Biden tackled other foreign policy issues much later in the speech, which, like most states of the Union, was heavier on domestic issues and targeted primarily at an American audience. He did take on the Israel-Hamas war, but in a way that's unlikely to satisfy many of its critics of his critics. Yeah, in many ways, that war is politically and in terms of information warfare messier than the Ukraine conflict, I would say, which is actually quite impressive because if you've ever looked at the information landscape, it's pretty ugly, the information warfare landscape relating to the war in Ukraine. As his administration previewed earlier in the day, Biden announced that the United States would construct a temporary pier on Gaza's coast to help deliver humanitarian aid to desperate... We'll cover this a little bit. Why not? To desperate Palestinians, he had tough words for both the militants of Hamas and the Israeli government, insisting that civilian lives must be protected. He acknowledged that the last 5 months have been gut-wrenching. And the reason that I sometimes will cover the Israel-Hamas conflict is because while there may not be a direct correlation, there is an indirect effect. The occurrence, what happens in that and other global conflicts, it does create a situation where assistance to Ukraine can be diverted or redirected to other parts of the world. All right, the rest of this, let's see, the rest of this is specifically about Israel. So, here we go. Here's a bit of a part about China. China felt it was exactly that this year. A box quickly checked. Biden mentioned a series of steps his administration has taken, including economic initiatives aimed at improving America's ability to compete with China, and then he moved on. It wasn't the first time Biden started a State of the Union with a foreign policy issue when he spoke in 2022. Just after Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Biden led his speech with reflections on the war before pivoting to a battery of domestic issues. But in 2023, his most substantive discussion of foreign affairs, including Russia's war, was condensed and much lower in the speech after topics such as the need to stop junk fees and wealthy tax cheats. Biden's April 2021 speech to a joint session of Congress wasn't technically a State of the Union, given he'd barely been in office. He mentioned several standard foreign affairs topics, including calling to end the war in Afghanistan, though nothing he said was too surprising. So, yeah, the rest, basically, this, I guess this is really just highlighting the fact that there were multiple topics that were covered, but the fact that Ukraine was mentioned a bit more, a bit higher in priority and emotional intensity, is very noteworthy for political allies of Kiev. So, all in all, it's a good news. It's good. It's a good thing to see. I want to see more, but I am glad to see the president not attempting to just limit his own personal speech or focus relating to the war in Ukraine. All right, so yeah, I guess with all that, there's not much more to say on this. Do you have any closing thoughts on this article, Jana, that you wanna say?
Not much, except I saw a tweet by, I think his name is Alexander. He's the Ukrainian, and he commented how it was just like a, typical Ukrainian humor. And he said it's Mike Johnson sitting to Biden on Biden's shoulder literally resembled a little devil whispering in his ear.
Yeah, exactly. Which is extremely ironic, because I think not many people outside of America are aware of this, but that man, if he is the devil, he comes in the robes of a priest, because he is one of the most religious members of American Congress, in terms of Christianity. Yeah. So, all right.
That for me was just like the highlight. That was the best tweet I've seen about the State of the Nation address. I'm like, that is the best one. I don't care what anyone else says.
I know. With all the discussion about the border, I just have to ask myself, are we going to see any more discussions with the president of Mexico about this?
The president of Mexico or the president of Egypt? Which one?
Oh, well, either way, honestly. Oh, man. Oh, that becomes even more. You think that the U.S.-Mexico border debate is heated in U.S. Congress. Just imagine what diplomats from Israel and Egypt are going through trying to talk to each other right now. It must be like...
No, I mean the slip-up Biden had when he spoke about...
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
And then I saw this thing where Fox was reporting on it, and they messed it up as well.
Oh, they See, this is why you can't go to Fox.
No, someone was highlighting how bad Fox is, and they were like, haha, look. And I'm like, this is like the best example of a cell phone, and I love it. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, yeah, the US border thing, I'm just like, I don't even know what's going on there. Like,
a lot of things, but honestly, not as much as some sensationalists would lead people to believe. Honestly, it's really just a convenient. Best way that I can put it is the U.S.-Mexico border and the immigration crisis is for American Republicans what the topic of Taiwan is for certain factions of Chinese Communist political party, which might be a comparison that a lot of both the people from both countries would hate to have made. but it's true. It's like this is a problem that is not solved, that there's no immediate way to fix it, but
yeah,
damn if it doesn't get if it isn't a way to fire people up to whatever cause you want to point them at.
True, yeah.
From your side of the aisle. All right. Now then, we got another one here, also related to this one being a bit more directly related to the war, and controversies on the enemy side, on the Russian side. So this is from NBC News, and I'm putting it into the chat and the description now, everybody. Okay, and I'm back. So, from NBC News, and let me make it a little bigger. India busts trafficking racket, duping people into fighting for Russia in Ukraine. From New Delhi, India said it had busted a major human trafficking network, which lured young men to Russia with the promise of jobs only to force them to fight in the war in Ukraine. About 35% people have been sent to Russia in the scheme so far, the Central Bureau of Investigation said later on Thursday, almost double the figure of 20 people that the Indian Foreign Ministry had earlier mentioned. At least 2 men who went to Russia expecting to work as, quote, helpers in the army. So, yeah, and I think we might have discussed
Yeah, we
this
spoke
earlier,
about this earlier.
Oh,
Lord.
have died while fighting at the front. Their families have said. The Indian embassy in Russia confirmed one of those deaths. So the title of this article, I mean, I do appreciate the fact that they are highlighting it. It is a little misleading because if you're a, quote, helper in an army, even if it's not a combat role, you're still
Part
doing
of
that.
the army.
Yeah, you're still logistics or medical aid, you
Yeah.
know, something.
You're still contributing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I guess maybe the big thing is that some of these we're expecting we'll never see the front line at all, even if we're not direct combat participants. And then either they were surprised to learn that their job involved running assistance to the front line, or they actually were given a weapon and told, nah, we need everyone at the front right now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where the devil's in the details to get to the truth of it. The Indian embassy in Russia confirmed one of those deaths. The traffickers operating
Sorry, I'll be right
across
back. I
several
just need
Indian...
to open the gate for my dog. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No problem. All right, while we're waiting for Jana, we'll go over this a little bit more. Yeah. The traffickers, operating across several Indian states, targeted people using social media platforms and through local agents, the CBI said in a statement. The trafficked Indian nationals were trained... Yep, exactly. So they were trained in combat roles and deployed at front bases in Russia-Ukraine war zone against their wishes, the statement said, adding that some of the victims were also, quote, so I guess that answers it a bit. According to the CBI, Central Bureau of Investigation of the Republic of India, it's not just a case of...
My back, sorry.
It's all good. Well, I'll put the source on mute for 1 sec while Jana's getting her dog situated. All right. Where was that? So anyway, yeah, I guess that kind of answers the question. So several of these people really were just... Oh, and Jana's back. Hey. All right. And so, yeah, I was just covering. So it seems like it actually answers it here, according to the Republic of India, according to India's Central Bureau of Investigations, that the trafficked Indian nationals were trained in combat roles and deployed at front bases in Russia-Ukraine war zone against their wishes, the statement said, adding that some of the victims were also, quote, grievously injured in the war zone. Now, the reason why I kind of want to discuss this is important. This is a little significant because you've had all of this kind of back and forth between, oh, India is neutral, or they're quietly, supporting Russia, or they quietly want to be on the side of the West, but they're too dependent on certain exports that they get from Russia. You know, a lot of people have their different political analyses, their opinions on this matter. But the fact that an actual government agency, one for intelligence and investigations, has made this statement that Russia has actually been tricking their citizens into fighting for them, that's actually significant. So if we see more of this in the future, more official statements speaking out against the Russian Federation from India, guys, there hasn't been a lot of focus because India has their own stuff going on. They've intentionally tried not to be too closely linked to this conflict. But if India does get angry enough with Russia and decides to start working more closely with the West and Ukraine with regards to this conflict, even just economically, that would be a big blow to Putin. So the CBI, excuse me, said searches were being conducted at a number of locations, including in the capital New Delhi and financial capital Mumbai, and cash amounting to 50 million rupees, $650,000 US, had already been seized, along with some documents and electronic records. Certain suspects have also been detained for questioning at various locations, it said. The Foreign Ministry has said that every case of Indians being duped into fighting in the war had been, quote, strongly taken up with Moscow. The Russian Foreign Ministry has not responded to requests for comment on the issue. Thousands of people have died on both sides since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022 in what Moscow termed a, quote, special military operation, which I'm sure all... Yeah. Uh-huh.
What is meant with strongly taken up with Moscow? What do you think that meant?
Being duped into it. I'm assuming it...
like, really? Because...
Yeah, there could be a lot more being done by the Indian government. I do agree. And that's why that's part of the reason I think that this is making the news, because
we've got so you've got NAFO, and then a lot of us in the southern hemisphere decided, okay, but disinformation in the southern hemisphere is out of control. So we basically all got together, and we've got a group on Twitter, and we're all kind of busy there. The Aussies and the Kiwis are the most, they're the busiest. They're trolling the Russian embassy like crazy. But we've got two guys from India there. And they say the insane thing there is the Russian propaganda is crazy. And if you speak out about it, you're kind of getting crap. And there it's a thing of Russia is seen as, it's Russia versus England. That's the narrative in India, from what they've told me. And it seemed like India was the colonizer. So Russia is obviously the guy who's helping out, or the country that's helping out, and it's a trade partner and all of this. So it's this weird toss-up that's going on. And that's why it's so funny for me when they say it's been strongly taken up, because I'm like, yeah, but, with my Indian friends, I also know how buddy-buddy the Indian government is with Russia and how strong Russian propaganda is in India. So I'm actually curious about whether this isn't just, once again, lip service.
Quite possibly. And I mean, again, actions speak louder than words. So seeing actual action taken against Russia would be much more significant. But in order for action to take place, sometimes you need to have enough pressure coming from internal sources, which is why I consider this to be something that it could just be lip service that goes nowhere at all, but it could also be something that catches the attention of enough people in India domestically to turn their heads and really make them question why.
Yeah, because I know some of the guys that are part of our group in India, they're like, we're involved with this. We'll spread the links and everything, but don't expect us to go to any protests because we'll end up in trouble. So yeah, it's really difficult when you think of it that way, and it's yeah.
Oh,
So
oh, hold on a sec. Can you still hear me, Jana?
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, everybody in chat, please give me a plus plus if you can still hear me, because I got a message just now about my microphone. Hold on a sec. Oh, all right. So now we're waiting to see, because yeah, it looks like it. I mean, on my end at least, my audio is still going through properly. Okay, we got plus pluses. Yeah. Okay. So like, and that's part of the reason also why I've been using another software for anything that goes over 2 hours, because I was trying to do an 8-hour stream with Rick last week or the week before, and it was working just great until randomly, for some reason, my stream just decided to stop working with my microphone in the middle. So it seems like, yeah, I might have to get the paid version of Restream at some point just to test that out and see the quality. Because yeah, if you go for too long, stuff like that can start to happen sometimes. But anyway, 10 minutes in, so I agree with you. And really, oh yeah, we're at the end of this article just about. So
Oh, India
to
has
close it
stepped up
out,
its
New Delhi and
purchase of
Moscow have enjoyed a close. Oh, yep,
yeah
purchase of cheap Russian oil. Yep, exactly. And there it is. There it is. Actions
yeah
speak louder than words. Now,
yep
to be fair, there are still Western countries that are purchasing Russian oil at amounts larger than most of us would be happy, like in amounts that would make several of us very unhappy. But because there are several who have cut down and are looking for other energy sources to no longer be dependent on Russia. You know, it unfortunately it makes sense. The Russians are still going to find someone on the planet who's willing to buy it, and you know, yeah, those countries that start buying it, maybe they say one thing, but if you pay closer attention, you'll see that they're doing another. And
yeah.
unfortunately, India has been one of those countries, to my disappointment. All right, and I think that's about it right now as far as articles go that I have. So we'll close that for a sec and come back here. Let me go ahead and open up the chat overlay as well. Let's see if anyone has any questions for Jana, for me, for just in general about Project Konstantin. Feel free to ask them. I don't think we have any new ones that have come in through the YouTube questions section. But yeah, basically, the work that Jana and Pete and the rest of the team at Project Konstantin have been doing, it's very much appreciated. And oh, you know what? Real fast, I'm gonna go ahead and here, we're not gonna put this just on a pop-up or lower third. We're gonna put this on the ticker. One sec. For anyone who would like to donate and assist Project Konstantin with the work that they're doing, on the screen now, you should see a ticker.
What happened to Jana's beer? It's not beer. It's actually sparkling wine.
Ah, well, you know,
Yeah.
wine, you know, I've always found people always say beer, but wine typically has a higher alcohol content than beer.
Yeah,
So,
I'm
yeah.
actually, I have to say, I'm actually surprised, or I'm actually wonder what beer Dick drinks, because he never gets drunk. And the streams go on forever.
I have seen that man drunk. He is just very good at like keeping things going and rolling even when he's drunk.
Okay. Because I'm just like, is the beer in Canada just like 0.1% alcohol? Because there's no way he can be on stream that long. And
Yeah.
you almost can't pick it up. You can't detect it.
Well, Canadian beer, I will say it not as a general rule of thumb, I prefer a lot of Canadian beers to the mass market American beers. They're less watery, less watered down. But between both countries, the craft beer market in both is fantastic. If you want to try a beer of, and I do mean this because I've had beers that are like chestnut flavored or pizza flavored. If you want a
Pizza
beer,
flavored beer.
if you want to try a beer of any flavor and style you can imagine between the US and Canada, it's like a candy shop. You can find them
Wow.
everywhere. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Which is pretty cool for beer lovers.
Yeah.
All right. And so with that we're at an hour and 15 minutes. So I guess we'll get ready to close things up here within the next 10 minutes or so. So
Dick had 20 beers for a stream.
oh wait, he did? I
Yeah.
had 20 beers. That's pretty impressive.
Shout out to your liver.
Yep, that's the hardest working liver in all of North America. And I salute you, my friend.
Yeah. When Dick drinks water, his organs are like, thanks, that's new.
just slowly recalibrating, getting hydrated just enough to go to the next one. That's how I am sometimes. That's like I have not been drinking as much lately, but man, yeah, I've got when I do drink, I could I don't know if I could drink you I could not drink you under the table, but I could keep up with you, Dig. All right. So, let's see. Questions. No. Oh, hey, we got James here. Welcome, James. Have you ever met James, Jana?
No. But hi, James.
Hey, so this is James, for everyone who can see his YouTube channel name on the screen, Why Ukraine, The Last Alliance. And he is a member of the International Legion. He currently, I believe, is finishing up his recovery from an injury. And he runs a YouTube channel where he's been documenting his progress, doing a bit of physical rehab, and doing fundraisers, just like all of us do, in order to assist the armed forces of Ukraine. Great guy, helped another friend of his recently get to the front lines who was needing, a little bit of gear and his plane ticket, assistance getting all that paid for. And anyone who's watching right now, go check out Why Ukraine, The Last Alliance. I want to get James on the show. We got to get you on here. We got to get you on the shills. I know you've got a busy schedule outside of YouTube, but yeah, man, we got to get you on the circuit on a couple of these channels because I know you'd get along pretty well. You'd fit in pretty well with a lot of the people that we talk with. Anyway, so with that, do you have any closing remarks or anything you want to bring up right quick, Jana?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Well then, really appreciate you coming on the stream. I'm going to go eat a really quick lunch and get ready because I've got at least 3 more appointments I got to take care of today. Yeah. But, oh, actually, you know what? We're going to do one thing. We're going to do one thing before we end this stream. And I'm going to do it. Well, hold on. How can I do it? Let me see how I can do this on stream with information security. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm opening up donor box because I like to do this when I'm able to, when I don't have my own stuff I need to take care of and pay for. I'm going to make a 100-pound donation right now to Project Konstantin.
Thank you.
And I'm putting the link in the description. So anyone who's watching who wants to join me, who would like to make a donation to Project Konstantin,
Oh boy,
please,
thank you.
I invite you all to do so. And then we'll close out the stream.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much.
So 100 pounds. Slava Ukraini. Next. Just take me 1 sec because it's asking me to enter all the information in.
Yeah, it's a lot of steps.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
DonorBox is nice because I was able to set up a whole bunch of payment options
Yeah,
for different countries. So
I do like DonorBox. In fact, I haven't mentioned this a lot because long before the war started, well, not started, but the full-scale invasion of 2022 started, I've been involved with a lot of different groups. There's one particular group who I am rather fond of. They use DonorBox to fund their work. And this would be SUN, the Secular Underground Network. And the work that they've done has usually involved assisting people escape from countries with religious persecution. Like, so, for example, if you're in the middle of Saudi or Egypt and suddenly you decide, well, I'm an atheist, you know, some of this religious stuff doesn't really make sense to me, you can die. There's a very good chance you will die. So it's good to get people out of those situations. Anyway, off topic. So let's see here.
yeah.
Let me get this entered in right quick. Shoot. Sorry, I tried to do it with PayPal, but then I remembered that my Tridents Against Tyrants PayPal is linked to the wrong account, so now I'm entering in the numbers again to just use a card.
Okay.
Sorry.
No problem.
I'm almost done, everybody. Okay, that's super annoying. Maybe it's because it's in British pounds? Well, I tried to make the payment just now, but for some reason it wouldn't take it.
We can try I can send you the PayPal.
I've got the I've got the PayPal here. It's just that the PayPal account that I was going to use, it's linked to the wrong bank account. So, okay. Damn it. I wanted to do this on screen. But I don't want to go into PayPal and link another
No,
bank
get
account
it,
just so I
get
can pay
it.
with PayPal. Hold on, let me try one more time with the card and see if it'll work. Damn it, Donor Box, I just talked you up and everything.
Donor box is like, not enough, bish.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you gotta earn it if you wanna kiss these feet. Well, okay. Well, I'm still gonna make the donation. I wanted it to be directly here on stream, but yeah, guys, anyone who's listening, if you
Aussie
want to,
Booger is like, you can send it by my Nigerian friend's face account.
I trust you completely and unabashedly. All right. Well, that's unfortunate, but I'm still going to make the donation today, and I invite
Thank you
anyone
so
else who
much.
wants to do so as well. So thank you very much for being on the stream, Jana.
Thanks for having me.
And as soon as I've got that money moved over, I'll let you know. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and click end stream here in a sec. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Please stand with Ukraine. Oh, actually, shoot. I always forget to do this as well. Let me make sure there are no last minute questions that are getting missed. Let's see. Oh, we do have one. We have one last minute question from Why Ukraine, the Last Alliance. Why do you think it is that Western countries are not combating Russian propaganda in India, South Africa, South America, I guess the global South, etc.?
I think for a big part, it was. I think it was for a big part the investment wasn't worth it. Whereas Russia has been investing in this since the Cold War. You know, if you look at like the comparison between like, they've really been investing in this for decades, really. And Russia's propaganda is, they have somehow convinced, like, I'm just going to take South Africa, okay? They have somehow managed to convince the extreme, almost racist, ultra conservative, almost the South African equivalent of MAGA, okay?
Mm-hmm. Oh, like the EFF, for example?
Yeah, but the white side of that. Okay.
Oh, like what is it called? Freedom Front or something like that.
Yeah, but like the OVB type, the like old.
Oh, yeah, the old versions.
The old versions, okay. They somehow convinced them that Russia is, you know, the typical cliche, you know, last place for Christian values and family values and all of that. And at the same time, they have convinced the EFF and the AHC that Russia is anti-colonial and fights against the West. Okay. And they've managed to do this for two groups of people who will never speak to each other and who hate each other. But they've managed to, with two separate messages, they've managed to convince both these extreme groups to support them. And I joked to someone the other day, and I'm like, I'm just so glad these two groups hate each other, because if they joined together, we would have some problems, you know?
Yeah, that would be a major problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's that exact thing where they've targeted the two extremes and convinced them, no, we're the solution. And I'm just like, well, that's some really solid propaganda you've laid out there. And it's almost like, to an extent, the West just decided it's not worth the investment for so long. Probably the same way, counter propaganda hasn't been a focus for the West since, I think Greg mentioned it, like since the Cold War. It hasn't been a focus, so it's still just not a thing. Our mindset, or the West's mindset, was just different. And the approach was just different, whereas the psyops was still being done, the propaganda was still being done by Russia. So I think it's just a different focus on what is important and what isn't.
Yeah, well, and I think the thing is that, excuse me, a big part of it is Russian propaganda, but a big part of it also is just domestic sentiments and, should I say bias? Rather, certain messaging about different topics, because, as you said before, Russia, in the case of South Africa, might be seen as opposed to England, and England still has this, pretty negative, the UK has still pretty negative association with colonialism among many in South Africa. In South America, there's kind of and this is, I think, part of the reason why the new Argentinian government getting closer to Ukraine instead of Russia, because originally they were talking about joining BRICS and they were looking into all of that. Maybe it was a little of a loop for a few people, because you do see kind of a duality. You have these far right groups all around the world and political parties and etc., who are very anti-socialist, anti-communist, anything that could be described as left, who look at Russia, and especially on certain things like social issues, perhaps even quietly, horribly, quietly kind of are like, but do they have a point in going against, quote, wokeism? Sadly, you see that kind of thought process among many socially conservative groups around the world. But then at the same time, when it comes to economic matters and the legacy, people's living memory of the Soviet Union before the Russian Federation, you still have people who are like, well, the Soviets promised us, complete egalitarianism, and we're going to break down all, colonial barriers. We're going to break down all forms of, what separates one citizen from another. And, anti-capitalist groups still kind of erroneously associate that kind of mindset with Russia, even though the modern Russian Communist Party is kind of a joke in terms of power compared to Putin's party, United Russia. And so it is this interesting duality where they can ride off the coattails of the Soviets to get the, far left groups to cheer for Russia, but then through their actions, they can really convince far right and anti-LGBT and racist groups to cheer for Russia. So unfortunately, when it comes to propaganda warfare, they have a little bit of a leg up in both of those fields.
Yeah.
But in any case, thanks for a great question, Dick. And Dick wanted to give a reminder for you, Jana. Tell people it is nowhere near as hard to donate as Sekai just made it look. Not even close. Guys, it was just my card. I don't know why my card didn't want to work all of a sudden when I tried to donate. But yes, typically it's pretty easy to donate on DonorBox. So, don't take my word for it. Go try it. Go try to do it yourself. I challenge you to try.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
All right, everybody.
Seriously.
Well, then we're going to call it for now. We've gone for an hour and a half. We are still going to have the normal Saturday stream tomorrow morning, and then we'll also have the stream over on the Shills. So please look forward to those and, join us for both of those streams. Thanks to Dick, to Greg, for James from Why Ukraine Last Alliance, all moderators, and Hill, who were able to make it. And yeah, thank you to all of you for being here consistently, weekly, on, well, pretty much every day. I mean, at this point, there are enough of us that there's a pro-Ukraine stream pretty much every single day of the week if you really know where to look. So thank you to all of you who tune into all of our streams across the platform and on other social media.
I wish I had time to watch all of them. It's my thing.
Me too. Exactly.
Because like some of them are like in like Mercado's stream is like at 3 a.m. here in South Africa, and I'm like, no, I actually need sleep. So I want to watch it and like during the day, but then I'm like, but I have to work. So I'm like, oh, when have I got to watch it?
Well, for me it does. Yeah, a lot of the English language streams, for anyone who's in the Western Hemisphere, a lot of them are at reasonable hours to watch. But then, of course, anyone who's streaming from the other side of the world, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe itself, like for me, it's the streams that are in Ukrainian language that I'm not able to catch because, obviously they're streaming from Ukrainian time. So it's like, for me, it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning whenever they're going. Yeah. But all right, everybody. Thanks for joining us, and Slava Ukraini. Have a great day.
Heroям слава.